Rugby World Rankings, folks. After 1 week of November internationals, remember with the sheer number of games on, there is going to be a heck of a lot of changes to the Rugby World Rankings over the next few weeks, which will decide the seedings for the next Rugby World Cup. And remember, there's still one spot at the Rugby World Cup in 2027 to be had. There are 4 teams looking to secure it. They are also in battle for that final spot in November too. So let's have a look at the rankings. How have they changed for the 4 matches at the weekend? What are the possible permutations for the second week? And you guys can let us know your thoughts. South Africa is still at number 1, and they walloped Japan at the weekend, but you may notice, if you can see it, I've got their number there, 92.2 in blue, because there was no change. And this is one of those ones, you've seen the Rugby World Rankings videos before, where you'll know that because they're so far ahead of the team they beat, that is why there is no change. And happily, because sometimes when it's only one team that's in the situation, it feels like I'm kind of trying to justify the World Rankings. Oh, sorry, your team didn't move because you're too far ahead of the team you beat. And there's a bit of, oh, why is it always my team that does that? Well, it's not just you. It also happened to Scotland. Scotland flogged the US 85-0. They've also not changed. So because South Africa and Scotland are both more than 10 points ahead of the teams they beat, the margin did not matter. They could have won by 1,000-0 and they would have still not changed one jot of the Rugby World Ranking. So no change for South Africa, which also means no change for Japan, no change for Scotland, no change for the US. Despite those results, the expected team won. So there is no change in the world rankings. Where there is a little bit of change, not so much in a ranking, is the All Blacks. They played Ireland, neutral venue, so we don't have to kind of worry about the home and away advantage or disadvantage. Neutral venue, so it meant the All Blacks took almost a full point off the Irish, 0.98. So the All Blacks are up a little bit, closing the gap ever so slightly on South Africa, and it means the Irish have dipped a fair bit closer to England. And England are the other big winner this week, because with their victory at home over the Wallabies, if it had been neutral or away, they would have taken more, but they beat the Wallabies pretty comfortably and took 0.4, which was enough for them to go past France. So France are in 5th. Kind of got to remember that France are a team who are generally a little bit underrepresented in the Rugby World Rankings because of the way they set their fixtures. Often in July, they tour with a weakened team, which means they are more susceptible to having losses. If their first strength team was out, they might get wins, like they toured New Zealand this year, lost all 3 matches, so lost points in those games. And in previous years, they've toured like Japan, a team where they never got any points off. So France doesn't set their team up to get world rankings points. They've obviously got the top 14 to deal with, and that's a fantastic competition. So that's a higher priority than just being a higher world ranking side. They are still high enough in the world rankings that they're comfortably in the top 5. But yeah, that is kind of part of the reason I feel like they're a little bit underrepresented. The world rankings don't care if you send your A team or your B team. The Argentinians are there in 6th, which is a key spot ahead of the World Cup draw, because 6th is the cutoff for a top seeding at the World Cup. So they're going to be drawn or seeded in groups of 6. So your first seeds, your second seeds, your third seeds, and so on. So it's currently kind of a competition between Argentina, Australia, and potentially, I guess, Scotland and Fiji as well. Those are the teams realistically close enough if they go through and have a cracking November campaign and then the other teams around them lose. They could still potentially get that 6th spot. Australia's not done themselves any favours by losing to England, losing their last 2 Rugby Championship games to the All Blacks. Scotland lost when they toured Fiji, which directly impacted their push for the top 6 as well. But that is certainly going to be one to monitor. And likewise, I guess, Wales's battle with Japan potentially for 12th and 13th. Japan would much rather be here, because if you're in Group 2 or the second seedings, you avoid all the teams in that set of seedings. You're more likely to get weaker opponents in your pool at the next World Cup. So Japan are playing Wales later on, which will be a fascinating one. But not just this week. The upcoming games, you've got France taking on South Africa. That is going to be massive. If France win and the All Blacks can beat Scotland, the All Blacks could potentially go number 1 in the world for what that's worth. Honestly, right now, Number one in the world is kind of less important than sixth, because practically sixth is going to have more benefits than number one. Number one is bragging rights, whereas sixth genuinely has a practical preference to being seventh. So still one to watch. So everyone likes to be number one in the world if they can get it. Scotland would take a significant chunk, like 1.64. If they can beat the All Blacks, it'd be a historic one if they can get the win. It would certainly push them forward toward that sixth spot. England are taking on Fiji. They can't really take much in the way of points. They're like very, very little, like 0.01 if they win, or 0.02 if they win by a big margin. And then likewise, Ireland is taking on Japan. They are in the same position that South Africa were in this week, even though it's a home venue. That's the only difference, but Ireland can't take anything off Japan. It'd be a big risk if they were to lose. Obviously, Japan would massively benefit world rankings wise, but given what South Africa did to them, it seems like an unlikely one. Then you got Wales up against Argentina. Wales could take over 1.5 points, which would do their campaign to stay in this seedings and potentially pass Georgia. That would do them a bit of benefit, and Argentina could extend their lead a little bit, 0.32, if they were to beat the Welsh. Elsewhere, remember, we got that last spot of the World Cup, that repechage. You've got Samoa taking on Brazil and Belgium taking on Namibia. I feel like Samoa are massive favourites and Brazil are like the least favoured of the four teams, but that is certainly going to be one to watch. You guys let us know your thoughts on the rankings. How fairly or not do you think they are? England is on a great winning run, which is why they've gone up. But France taking on South Africa this weekend, do you feel like in terms of world rankings is also going to be very tasty? You guys let us know your thoughts. Take care. If you like the world rankings vids, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We always keep them updated. Take care, folks, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.